Hello and welcome to France 24 and Radio France International. We are here in Brussels for the African Union and European Union Summit. We are joined for our exclusive interview by the President of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara. Hello.
Hello.
Joining me today is Christophe Bobouvier.
Thank you. Thank
Hello.
you.
So 9 years down the track, France has decided to withdraw troops from Mali at a time where the jihadist threat is spreading. So a very simple question, is that a sign of failure?
No, I don't think so. France has taken a decision given the situation in the Mali. It's not withdrawing from the Sahel, it's just adjusting its presence given its relationship with Mali.
So readapting a presence in the country, in the region, is that also going to impact Ivory Coast? Is it likely that you will see more French troops and equipment in Ivory Coast? We know that the head of armed forces was there in Abidjan just recently.
Well, we've always considered that safety and security is a prerequisite to development. And I don't know why people get all upset. Saudi Arabia has an American base, other countries do too. And if our security requirements is that we need to call on friends and partners, we will. All of that is still being discussed. We'll see.
So does that mean there are going to be more troops and bases from France?
We'll see. Our ministers will be discussing it with armed forces. We'll see. Look, security is the remit of national forces. We have a properly trained, professional, well-equipped army and gendarmerie. We're looking after them well, and I trust them.
In West Africa, we see that there's anti-French sentiment on the rise. It was seen just a few weeks ago with the Barkhane convoy that was intercepted.
No. It's not because there's something here or there that there's an issue. After all, the convoy left Port-Bouet to go all the way up to Gao. It went through the Ivory Coast for about 1,000 kilometers without any problems.
I understand that, but there's Burkina Faso and Nigeria.
There were issues in two places, and it's not an anti-French issue.
Yes, but what about the protests in Mali?
Well, there's a lot of spin.
Is there still a future for French soldiers in Africa?
It's not a future for the French military. They're welcome here, as the Americans and others are.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, laid down quite hard sanctions against Mali just 1 month ago. But quite interestingly, it seemed to have galvanized the population. They now support the junta. They have open pro-junta protests in the streets. So is the outcome not the opposite of what was expected?
Look, we didn't try to punish the people of Mali. The people of Mali are our brothers. ECOWAS has rules. The decision was taken unanimously. And as I've said, I'm quite sorry that has happened. We really do not want to see the people of Mali suffer for so long. There'll be shortages and other difficulties. We are simply waiting for the government, the Malian junta, to put forward a reasonable timeline and that we can progressively lift the sanctions in agreement with the rules of ECOWAS. It's not a personal decision from anyone. It's just the rules. If it was another country, Mali would have been involved in the decision-making process.
So the timeline that we're talking about, the junta originally proposed a 5-year transition before new elections. Now they've brought it down to 4 years. Algeria said there would be a mediator and came forward with a 16th-month proposal. Now, does that seem reasonable?
Look, it's not for me to comment the proposals made by Algeria. Algeria is in North Africa. We in ECOWAS have our own rules, and our decisions will be taken unanimously, and we will review the Malian issue in due course on the basis of our experience and of the discussions we will have with the Malian authorities.
But do you think the deadline, in your opinion...
It's not for me to say anything. No personal decision, sir. I am not the chairman of ECOWAS. It's my friend Nana Akufo-Addo from Ghana. We'll probably have another meeting in March to review the situation. We want these sanctions to be lifted as soon as possible because the Malian people do not deserve to be in that situation of an embargo.
So no more than 4 years?
Look, 4 years is the time it takes for a whole term of office in Ghana and Nigeria. That's not reasonable, I'm sure you'll agree. And I ask my Malian brothers to make an effort to come back into the fold as the rules from ECOWAS demand. I'm in contact with Colonel Assimi Goïta. He sent me envoys before every summit. We did our best, but we can't do more than what we have because the ECOWAS rules are what they are and we have to apply them.
And you spoke with them directly?
We're always talking, as we are with Colonel Doumbouya and others, and Colonel Damiba. I'm in contact with everyone. We are, in the Ivory Coast, a country for dialogue.
1 week ago, we saw on social media a recording of a conversation that was said to have taken place between the former Prime Minister of Mali, Boubou Cissé, and another person. Some say that they recognized your voice in the recording, and in the conversation there's criticism of the junta in Mali. Now, is that conversation authentic?
Well, maybe you should play it for me, and then I can tell you.
It was on social media quite a bit.
Well, look, I'm not big on social media. When was that, did you say?
Roughly 1 week ago.
Well, give it to me and I'll tell you. Look, I'm in contact with everyone. Boubou Cissé, Goïta, everyone. Quite simply because I feel that that's how we are going to bring them back closer to one another and get out of this situation. The Malian authorities know that I respect them greatly.
Well, it's just that in the conversation we hear criticism. We hear people talking of idiots, they were sick in the head.
Okay.
It's quite scandalous.
Okay. Aren't new technologies nifty?
Okay, so the justice system in Mali opened up investigations for a threat to security.
Look, this is a Malian issue. I don't want to get involved in this one.
Now, would the arrival of fighters, paramilitary forces from Russia in neighboring countries, is that a concern for you?
We've said quite clearly in ECOWAS that we oppose the use of non-state actors in our countries. We've said that clearly in the various statements. So the ECOWAS position is clear, and we fully agree with it. I'm very sorry, but I'd say that cooperation should be between states. With Mali, France was a reliable partner. 53 of her sons died in Mali. France spends about 1 billion a year in Mali. Look, it's most unfortunate that we should be in the situation we're in now. And I will go on telling the Malian authorities that they must make sure that things improve, the relationship improves. And as we say in West Africa, they have to cut the Yamakuji with water. That's ginger juice. Things have to improve. You can't last forever. It's in no one's interest.
Are you sorry to see Barkhane go?
Look, it's for the Malians to see. We feel that fighting against terrorism is vital for Mali, for Burkina, for Niger, and for the coastal states. So with the end of Barkhane and Takuba, there's a void being created, and we will have to increase our armed forces. We'll have to increase and strengthen the protection of our borders. We'll have to buy arms to increase the professionalization of our armies. But that's all part of our duty. National armies, domestic armies, must solve the problems in their own countries. That's our approach, and we'll make sure that that happens. And we'll take any possible measure, even if it means that we have to spend 2%, 3%, 4% of GDP on military expenditure. We'll do that to protect ourselves. Without security, there can be no development.
I would now like to talk about another neighboring country that also recently went through a coup on the 24th of January, Burkina Faso. So you have had early contact with the head of the junta. And I would just...
Yes, Colonel Damida.
Yes, I would just like to ask you, after these first few weeks, do you feel that they're going to follow their brothers in arms in Mali, or are they tending more towards a different solution, one which would be much more in line with what you would hope for?
Well, look, I have spoken to Colonel Damiba. First of all, I was looking at the integrity, the physical integrity and the security of President Roch Kabore. He gave me assurances, and I said that we would do what it takes to support them, provided ECOWAS rules are abided by, and that's what we're doing. And I hope that that can be done.
But do you feel that the first few weeks have given you a sign of hope?
Look, I've only spoken with him twice. It's still a bit early to say anything, but I do hope that we can find a solution, swiftly indeed, so that we don't have to impose financial and economic sanctions on Burkina.
You spoke of President Kabore, but he's still not free to move.
No, we're working on the issue.
But have you got guarantees?
I'm not ECOWAS, but I have made a case for the president, and the president told me that his physician saw him every morning, that he saw his family, so I'm reassured by what I'm told.
Despite the putsch that took place on the 24th of January in Ouaga, the trial for the murder of Thomas Sankara continued. The prosecutor just called for 30 years in jail for the former President Blaise Compaoré and his former right-hand man Yassine Kofondo. Blaise Compaoré is in Ivory Coast and Mr. Kofondo is said to be in Ivory Coast. But do you think that now, 35 years later, after this state crime, it is time for people to know the truth? And do you think that Compaoré and Kofondo will be seen before the courts?
Ask them. The Ivory Coast is a welcoming country. We consider that they're at home in Ivory Coast, and there's no difficulties, therefore. It's for them to see with the Burkinabe authorities to solve it. I mean, I'd spoken with President Kabore to see how President Compaoré could return to the country. That, I'm sure, will happen in due course.
And what about Yassine Kofondo?
I do not know Yassine Kofondo.
But apparently he's in Ivory Coast.
I don't know. I'm being told he might be, but look, there are 5 million Burkinabe in the Ivory Coast.
Another country that was hit by a putsch on the 5th of September was Guinea-Conakry.
Well, only questions about countries like that.
Well, they are neighboring countries.
And yes, they're very dear to us.
And, well, it turns out that for the time being, Colonel Doumbouya has given down no timeline for the transition. And yet he's been in power for some 6 months now. Do you not show more lenience towards the people in Conakry than Bamako?
Well, look, I'm in contact with Colonel Doumbouya. Things will happen in due course. I can tell you that. Up until now, he's always stuck to his commitments towards me, and that will happen.
So you think the timeline will be upheld?
Look, it will be up to the newly established institutions, and I hope that it can happen as soon as possible.
So by the end of the year?
No, look, it's not for me to impose a timeline to the Guineans or the Malians or the Burkinabe. We're just saying that there are rules and you have to abide by the ECOWAS Charter rules.
There has been Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso. It seems like there is a spread of the virus, the coup d'etat virus in West Africa. Do you fear that will spread further?
I don't want that to happen.
Well, you don't wish it, but do you fear it?
Well, we are taking decisions to try and avoid this repeating itself, and Western Africa has improved tremendously its record in terms of democracy and human rights. But we are facing difficulties with terrorism, poverty, climate change, erosion, and the like. Difficult times, but it doesn't mean that everything has been completely upturned. I'm confident.
And in your own country?
Look, the Ivory Coast experienced a coup d'etat that everyone is very sorry occurred. I think we do have a strong Republican professional army, and we're confident that we can forge ahead towards the development and the well-being of the Ivorian people.
Some say that for Guinea-Conakry, it was the 3-term in office that led to a military coup, and you're now in your 3rd term.
No. It's not my third term. It's the first term under the constitution of the Third Republic. You know this, the two of you. You know it full well. You interviewed me in Abidjan. The constitution was passed in 2016. I ran for office in 2020. I had said that I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't run. Look, there were exceptional circumstances that meant that I ran for office. I'm relieved that I have done it. It was a difficult decision for personal reasons. Now, it's a done thing. Ivory Coast is on the right track. I'm relieved, and I will go on working so that Ivory Coast can stay the course and we can achieve progress, both social and economic.
So does that mean new exceptional circumstances in 2025 will see you run again?
Look, exceptional circumstances have to be reviewed in exceptional circumstances, sir. As concerns me, everyone knew what my decision was. I announced it in March, and the elections were due in September, so no problem there. You know, I had other important jobs before I became a politician. I'm not looking for a job aged 80.
So 2025, you're not going to run again?
Look, let it go. 2025, we'll see what happens then. The Ivorians will elect whoever they want. I hope that they can choose someone much younger than me and my predecessors.
So you already have someone in mind to take over as leader of the RHDP in 2025? You already chosen someone?
Yes, I mean, there's about half a dozen I can think of. There's a lot of them, and they're very able. And I'm convinced that we will make a democratic choice and find someone very able to be at the helm of Côte d'Ivoire.
So we're just speaking about age, and a member of parliament said that they're going to bring forward a bill before parliament in April. And the bill would bring back the age limit for presidential candidates at 75 years old. It was a limit that was kicked out as part of the 2016 constitutional reform. Now, I believe you're in favor of that measure.
Really?
Well, are you or are you not?
Well, look, it's for the Assembly to decide. They have their own agenda.
But what are your thoughts on it?
Look, the MPs from my party will take the right decision in due course.
Long Gbagbo said that for him it would be completely unacceptable.
But Long Gbagbo doesn't speak for the Republic, does he?
Do you have constant, regular contact with him?
Yes.
Or apparently you haven't been speaking with him for the past few months now.
No, look, I spoke to him, 3 weeks ago at the most, as I speak with President Henri Conan Bédier too. We have brotherly relations.
In a spirit of reconciliation and fraternity in Ivory Coast, after Laurent Gbagbo, might we also see Charles Blé Goudet or possibly also Guillaume Soro return?
Well, look, let them sort it out with judges.
Are you speaking for both of them there?
Look, I haven't got any opinion about one or the other. There are issues pending. Some cases being brought to justice. They need to deal with these issues.
President, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers for joining us on France 24 and Radio France International.